Hey guys, back at you with a couple more car thoughts. Um, haven't been on in a minute, but yeah, hopefully get some fresh content to you guys soon. Um, One thing that I have been thinking about that I thought might be useful is a little bit more of the psychology side of things, or like a little bit more of the thinking side of things. And a theme that I've been thinking about was, you know, religion and Christianity, or you know Islam or Judaism, or whatever a person believes often has a profound impact on how they live their lives, obviously. um, I'm not a very spiritual or religious, I should say. I'm not a very religious person myself. I'm a skeptic, meaning that I'm I've got a lot of reason to doubt everything, and I think that that's kind of shaped a lot of the way that I look at the world, and how I've led my life in terms of still looking for meaning, but in different ways, I suppose. um, I found quite early on, as I was exposed to philosophy at university, that I was exposed to ideas like Friedrich Nietzsche's ideas of nihilism, where the individual's um, pursuit of a greater meaning in life came from within. Um, and I think as a result, I've often tried my best to gain control over every element of my life. And um, as someone who's likely got ADHD, and has addictive personality traits, that has not always been a successful pursuit. And as I've grown older, I've had to not just like accept, but well, yeah, you know, accept, but also admit that sometimes you just have to let go of that control and trust that there are forces in the universe that will work things out for the best, or for how it's supposed to happen. Um, I mean, I, you know, there's only so many times that like lightning can hit a tree before you start going, it's not coincidence, there's a reason for this. Or when you pick up an apple and you drop that apple and it falls under the force of gravity, that you start to go, something's happening here. And I mean, that is something that has been like a continuing trend if I look back through my own life, that I have to consider and allow to inform my way of thinking, whether we call it God, whether we call it the universe, whether the stars are aligning, or I don't know what. But I think it's something that I'm comfortable accepting and allowing to inform my judgment. And um, I just have to look at like the last week. I've been extremely stressed out by um, the nature of my work contract, for example, and how I've been on a contract until the end of the year, and obviously I've got bills and mortgages that need to be paid, and I was looking at 2026 and going, okay, well, I've got a real issue if I don't have permanent hours or fixed hours for next year. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board, potentially go back to the classroom again. And oh man, I really don't want to do that, because I love this job, like I'm really enjoying it, and I can't imagine having to go and do this all again. And I was just getting really stressed out about it and things like that. So hours came up at work, and I interviewed for it at the start of the week, and all of these thoughts were spinning in my head, and they were creating a lot of anxiety, and really bringing down my energy and my mood. So I had to sit with myself and say, hey, you need to trust that this is going to work out. You need to trust that if it's meant to be and you are going to get these hours, that it's going to happen. If you're the right person for the job, then that's going to be. If not, then we need to accept that and move on. And that just allowed me to kind of continue with my week, but b also get to a stage where I could be okay with either outcome. um and yep, I got the call yesterday and got offered the job, so very happy about that. um and I mean, I don't want to have confirmation bias here. I'm not saying, hey, one good thing's happened, therefore, like, I'm going to change my entire paradigm on beliefs. This is something that, I talk about a lot, um, with friends, and yeah, it's more than just a one-off thing, really. But regardless of that, I guess the way that we could bring this back to a sporting context is, if you set goals for yourself in anything, not just sport, but like, your career, your job, your passion, your pursuits, if you are setting goals for yourself, there is only a certain limit to things, objects that you actually have control over, before, external factors are at play. And I think it's very important to bear that in mind, that, let's say you have a competition coming up. You can only do everything within your power to prepare for that thing. Anything beyond that, um, is up to external forces. Whether your opponent's going to pull out, whether you're going to get sick, or um, there's an accident and you get injured, or uh, in any measure of things could happen between you planning to have a competition and getting to that actual day itself. Not just that, but your opponent could have the best training camp of their life. They could be on a testosterone cycle. They could be, training more than you, or whatever the case is. And the more that you get in your head about those things, and the more that you worry about those things, the less energy and time and effort and emotional bandwidth you have to focus on the things that you have control over. Um, it's one of the reasons that, like, I watch less and less of the news than I used to. It's one of the reasons that I keep a very small circle of people that I stay in touch with and communicate, because I don't want to. I know how I am, and I just don't want to overexpose myself to those kind of factors that I know will end up exhausting me in the long term. Um, so I don't know if there's a lesson in any of this to be had for you. Maybe there is. Maybe this resounds with you. Um, but yeah, I think sometimes learning to let go and learning to rescind control over everything is important, especially in an age where, we want to have the ability to change everything, and we're told, to have control over this and that and everything else. There's very little in your life that you actually have control over other than your mindset. External factors are going to happen to you, and all you really can control is how you react to them. I'm very grateful that Jiu-Jitsu has given me the gift of being able to approach those things with a cool mind, um, and how to deal with a world that relentlessly will throw things at you, and doesn't care how you react. So hopefully that's a lesson for you, and there's something in there that is a bit of a gem. Anyway, thanks for listening to my semi coherent ramble. I'll catch you next time.